Hello, my name's Sarah Lovell and I am the Lead Policy Officer for Culture for the Liverpool City Region Combined Authority. We are a metromayoral combined authority. Our metromayor is Steve Rotherham, and we are one of the only, in fact we are the only, combined authority that has culture within its devolution agreement. So combined authorities receive additional monies directly from government, from national government, which we can then spend at a local level. So it's very much ensuring that in line with our policy and our strategies that we develop for the Liverpool City region, we're able to direct financial investment and resources to the places where it's most needed. The Combined Authority receives approximately 30 million a year as part of the devolution agreement. That's kind of like the baseline agreement. Obviously, they receive further monies for additional aspects or projects or particular initiatives. And obviously through COVID, we were able to bring in more money to the Liverpool City region to help to support particular parts of the local economy and to offset some of the impact that COVID brought. So as part of my portfolio area, that's part of the Combined Authorities portfolio areas, I work very closely with Vista Economy and Tourism, which sits in the growth platform, which is part of the Liverpool Enterprise Partnership. And I work very closely with them because obviously culture is a very important part of our Vista Economy and builds very much on the when Liverpool was awarded the European Capital of Culture in 2008. And that really helped to turn the fortunes of the city around, and also the impact then, the ripple effect out into the wider city region. So my role is to work with the 6 local authorities that make up, or 6 boroughs that make up the Liverpool City region, and those are Holton, Sefton, St Helens, Knowsley, Liverpool and Wirral. So they make up the 6 boroughs in our city region, and I work closely with the local authority culture leads, the heritage leads, libraries, and also with the Vista Economy leads as well. But my role is also to ensure that culture isn't just seen in a silo that happens over here. It's very much also to look at how it knits across with the other policy areas that we have responsibility for. So again, I work very closely with our skills and employment teams, with our spatial planning and our housing and transport policy leads as well, so that we're thinking about how we ensure that policy that's developed in one area has a relationship, or that culture and Vista Economy have a relationship and are part of that. So it's very much part of our economic strategy to look at how culture helps to sustain and grow and develop our economy, and opportunities for our residents to secure good jobs, to develop new skills, to how it can contribute to health and well-being, to community cohesion, and also I think quite importantly in reflecting the role that Liverpool as a port city, and a very important port city over the years, our international reach. So we know that Liverpool in particular is synonymous with football and with the Beatles. So, you know, our sporting, but also in terms of horse racing with the National, golf with the Open. We have some superb internationally renowned golf courses. So it's not just about our cultural heritage that exists in buildings and venues, it's also reflecting our natural geography and natural assets as well. So because we have culture as part of our devolution agreement, I do get a small budget from that devolution arrangement to help to support a programme of work which we call 1% for Culture. That's not the only money that's available for culture. We also have a strategic investment fund, and that is supporting and has supported some key capital infrastructural projects. So it's put in financial investment to the new Shakespeare North Playhouse, which is being built in Prescott in Knowsley, which will open next year. It's put money into a new science and discovery facility called Eureka, which will open at the Seacombe landing stage, which is part of our Mersey Ferries network, which is also on the Wirral, which will open next year, and several other key investments to help to support the development of the International Slavery Museum, which is within the National Museums Liverpool group of museums and galleries, and also the waterfront area, which is internationally renowned. So it does support that. We also support a huge programme through film, because Liverpool is the most filmed external location outside of London facility. So we have put money in to help to develop new studio space. We're also going to support the redevelopment of the old Littlewoods building into a new studios facility, post and pre-production, working with Twickenham Studios. And we've also got a content film production fund, and we've been able to support a number of key films and high-end TV projects. Music is also really important, and we support the Liverpool City Region Music Board. I work very closely with my colleagues from Liverpool City Council, Culture Liverpool, to develop opportunities for sustaining and building and growing our music offer, looking at not just backwards in terms of the legacy of key bands like the Beatles, but also what we do with that and how we tell that story, and also how we acknowledge the influence of black music on the Beatles, but also within the city region, and how we develop more opportunities for music creatives on both sides, not just in front as performers or artists or songwriters, but also thinking about engineers and technicians and event managers and promoters. Obviously, the industry was hit very hard by COVID, and we've been working very hard to look at how we can better support and make sure that the infrastructure that we develop is more resilient. So it's a big challenge. It's not just a city region challenge, it's a national, international challenge, as we've had to learn to adapt to, moving away maybe, certainly in the short term, from huge events, the mega events that I think music is particularly synonymous with, to a much more localised offer and things happening on the doorstep. And that's certainly very much at the heart of some of the projects and some of the initiatives that we're trying to do here in the city region. We have a culture and creativity strategy that underpins all of our work. And again, that's very much predicated around developing much more of a local offer. So the way that we do that through the support of the 1% for Culture programme is through three key kind of initiatives. One is the Borough of Culture, which I'll come back to in a minute and talk about that. That receives 2/3 of the money to help to support a rotating Borough of Culture that goes to each of the boroughs on an annual basis. It's not a competition, it's an award, and it helps to build each borough's potential to collaboratively develop its local talent and creatives, and work with existing assets, but also develop new ones to help to incrementally build sustainable capacity across the city region. And that is also about building in the unique kind of character and distinctiveness of the local place and people. So it does have sort of themes that are consistently applied in this iteration, this first 5-year iteration. We're just next year will be the final year of the first 5 years, and we may change that slightly, but essentially it's about enabling more children and young people to access and enjoy and learn and thrive through culture and creative engagement, and to access skills, opportunities and talent pathways. It's also about the application of culture in terms of the positive outcomes it can have in terms of health and well-being, education, cohesion, future world of work. It's also about really looking at communities and how we want to increase the participation of our local communities to make access to culture and cultural activity much more immediate. They don't have to travel to the city, that it can happen on their doorstep. I'm particularly thinking about different groups of people who sometimes are excluded or feel excluded from our cultural offer. We want to acknowledge the distinctiveness of place. As I mentioned before, the city region, we're very lucky. We have a great city, but we also have a fantastic coastline. We have some amazing natural assets. So we want to ensure that we are not just attracting our visitors from nationally and eventually back again internationally, but also enabling our local communities to travel across the city region and to visit some of those things, or to take part in some of those things. And finally, to build that infrastructure and to create a legacy through this initiative of the Borough of Culture that will help to support more cultural activity and business, and stimulate people to see that there are opportunities for using culture and creativity to develop meaningful jobs and employment opportunities. So the idea really is, through this Borough of Culture, that we stimulate talent and aspiration, and we promote creativity and economic growth through that cultural engagement and activity. So then the other two things that help to support that are, in the 1% for Culture programme, is the LCR Cultural Events programme, and that's usually a themed idea. We started that in 2018, and we also ran it in 2019, and obviously 2020 was a bit of a challenge with COVID, so we didn't. And this year we've applied it slightly differently, but the idea being is that the boroughs come together, they work on a programme that is themed, that has an idea, but it happens in each of the boroughs. So the first year, and a good example of this, which I think also demonstrates some of that commitment to growing activity that people can participate in at a local level, was Lost Castles, which was an art project that was delivered by Olivier Grostet, a French participatory artist who creates these cardboard structures, or designs them really, because they're created by local people. So he developed those ideas and made sure that it had a link in with a historic or a heritage angle. So in Liverpool, they built the Liverpool Castle, and in Wirral it was a stave Viking church. But it gave a real sense of opportunity for people to come together. And I think part of that programme, the legacy of that work, is that it has helped to stimulate cultural strategy in each of the boroughs that it's been in to date, and is helping to support work that's happening at a town centres level, So money that's come from government to help to support the development of town centres and regenerate them. Some of this, the work that happens through the Borough of Culture, through the cultural events programme, and the third strand that is an awards programme, is helping to develop the importance of culture on our doorstep, in our high streets, is helping people to find a way to repurpose maybe what was a retail offer that has since dissipated online, or the business has not been able to sustain itself. It's giving people a new opportunity to come into the towns and commune, and to find ways to work together. So a lot of activity is programmed within the Borough of Culture around the towns and the town centres, but also in other places that may not normally receive cultural activity. We've seen a lot of work happen with murals on gable ends of buildings and on streets, and artists working with those communities to actually develop those build designs, but also where businesses are being supported. So Wirral, as part of their Borough of Culture, were able to create a legacy project working with Make, who emanate from the Baltic Creative initiative that's been very popular and again is internationally known as a way of going into spaces that have been industrial or have been not used for a very long time, and they have repurposed those spaces as collab spaces, as spaces for new businesses and for creatives to come in and to develop to the point at which they become very successful, and then developers move back in again. And that is a challenge, and is something that we are looking at in terms of how do you create those opportunities, but also once then a place becomes successful for that, a lot of the time that can force those creatives and artists out. So it's trying to kind of get a balance really of creating opportunity, building economic growth, and opportunities for business to develop, but also making sure that the very thing that made that successful isn't squeezed out. So it is a challenge, but I think some of the work that's come through the Borough of Culture, through those opportunities of trialling ideas, and are proving to be successful. So there's some of the things that hopefully will inform the panel discussion and some other projects that we're developing together through the Borough of Culture initiative, to enable artists to come together, creatives to network with each other, to trial out new ideas, and working closely with education to trial those ideas in different ways. So there's an opportunity I think we have now that the COVID pandemic has actually accelerated, but the challenge is to make sure that we are able to respond and to build in a sustainable way that's environmentally friendly, that is also acknowledging the challenges of new ways of working, but which doesn't then create a model that then squeezes out creatives once an area then starts to develop. So hopefully we'll talk a bit more about that on the panel discussion.